Hello, good afternoon, and thank you to you guys for coming to our platform. This is a collaboration between a Rotaract Club in ITK and TheraView, and we're so delighted to have you on board.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Thank
you, Rajita.
you. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, just before we get started with our interview, would you quickly just introduce yourselves, starting with Rajita ma'am first?
Okay. Yeah, hi. I'm Rajita Sarkar. See, I'm basically a therapist, working in the field of psychology. It's been, I could say, 13 to 14 years. I'm working in the field of psychology as a counselor and a therapist. So, normally I'll be dealing with the issues with the family, relationship issues, but apart from my expertise area, I could say that anything, the psychological illness, anxiety, depression, the basic psychological problems that that is experienced from most of nowadays the youngsters or the elders also, so that I will be dealing with. So this is my area of expertise, and I work in the banking sector and educational sector also. So I hope my these things will help for you.
All right, that's great. Megha
Thanks.
ma'am, will you tell
Thanks a
us
lot.
about yourself now?
Yeah, I'm Megha Bhojkar. I have done my master's in social welfare and have also done my postgraduate diploma in family and child counseling. And for past 24 years, I'm working with several NGOs and schools and with corporates. I have my own NGO also, through which we work on various mental health issues. And we work with the communities and lower economic strata schools. Mainly, we collaborate with community-based organizations, and we give counseling services um, to those NGOs. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, Sahana, will you do a quick introduction from Rotaract side as well?
Yeah, so I'll be representing Rotract and ITK for this evening for this interview. And yeah, I'm Sahana, and I'm a second year mechanical student.
All right. So with that, let's get started. Sahana will start with our questions for today. Over to you, Sahana.
Yeah. So the first question we have for you today, this evening, is what kind of students, I mean, what kind of children can we usually see in the orphanages? Like, who exactly are these institutionalized students, children? And are they usually there only for, because of, no, the death of parents, or is there always a living parent who has, abandoned the child? So what exactly are the type of children we can see in these institutional issues?
So shall I go ahead with Sana? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay. Uh, See, Sana, as you said, if you're speaking about institutions or if you're speaking about orphanage, let me tell you, yes, I could say that the children are from the different background. It is not just where the parents are, it's not like the parents are not there or any family members is not there. No, you have all kinds of, the children who will be there in the institutionalizations. The reasons could be plenty here. If we say the reasons, there are very vast reasons why the children are there in the in this institutionalizations. As you said, it might be because of the diverse parent, as in the single parent they cannot take care of the child, and they might take the help of the institutionalization. Number one. Number two, it can be like the family may not be having the positive scenario. Like, say for example, if the mother is having an external affair, or if father is a drunken, if these kind of a negative environmental if we are finding, then chances are there that the child will be given the institutional care, so that the child won't be come under any exposure of these things. And number three, what I could say, that there is a children like a small one or two babies who have been abruptly abandoned. Like now we might have at one point of time you have just come across with the baby girl baby is normally abundant, and it has been thrown in the dustbin. This was what at one point of time this was very peak information in most of the states, or the countries we used to hear this. So this is also the chances are there that because of the gender of the baby they might given for the institutionalization, so that they doesn't want to take care or they don't want to take care. So there are different categories of the children who are staying in the institutionalization or in the orphanage. But however, certain times what happens, it depends on the age also. You might find the age of different ages. It's not just of the one particular age. It's not just of the 2-year-old or 3-year-old. You have different age categories where they will be staying in the orphanage or in the institutionalizations. So that is something which I want to say here. If you're speaking about what kind of children are there here.
Megha ma'am, what's
Yeah.
your opinion on this?
As Rajita said, it's true that there are not just orphans who are institutionalized. There could be true orphans, or there could be social orphans, like children who are abandoned because of socio-economic issues, like financially not able to take care of children, or there are other several social issues like pre-marriage pregnancies or extramarital affairs or rape cases where women give birth to the child but they are not able to take care of the child, so those children are institutionalized. And when we say institutionalization, institutes are not only the orphanages where children are institutionalized. There are other institutions like observation homes where court committed children are given admissions. Okay, when there is a juvenile crime, those children are get admitted into observation homes. There are other institutions like institutions for differently abled children, uh, maybe mentally challenged or physically disabled children. Or there are institutions where you find children who are HIV positive children. So there are several institutions where children are admitted for various reasons. Yeah.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So the second question for this evening that I have for Megha ma'am is so what exactly are issues that these children face? Like it could be mental health issues or it could be any kinds of issues. So what exactly are the issues that these children in these institutions often face?
Okay. Basically, family plays very important role in the positive development of the child. Okay. Physically also, emotionally, psychologically, cognitively. So in all areas, the development of the child is the role of the family is very important. So when the children are staying in the institute, they lag behind in development. So they have developmental delays or deviations. Okay, and that is mainly because their physical needs many times are not met, like they are not they don't get good food, hmm, very good nourishment. Okay, so such kind of needs are not met. Then uh, they don't get good stimulation for psychological, intellectual and cognitive development. So all such issues are there. And in the family, basically the child receives a full attention and tender loving care at the very initial stage from the mother or the very intimate person in the family, maybe grandmother or anybody or father or anyone. But in the institutions, the number of caregivers is very less. So the ratio of caregivers and children is not that good. So children don't get the required attention of the caregiver. They are there only to take care of physical needs, like feeding them, changing their clothes, bathing them. That's all. But there is no healthy interaction, there is no stimulative atmosphere in the institutions where they get the opportunity to learn certain skills. So they also lag in linguistic development along with cognitive and intellectual development. They lag in social development. Okay, so these are all the issues, mainly the developmental issues, we can say. And other issues are also like they are at high risk of getting abused physically or sexually. Okay, they are very much vulnerable for all these issues also. So according to me, these are all the issues where children in the institutions they face. And basically health issues, not just physical but mental health issues, but that depend mainly on the age of the child, for how long the child is institutionalized, and the services available in the institution. What kind of services are there in the institution? It depends on all these factors, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Prajita ma'am, do you want to add on something?
Yeah, absolutely. What Megha ma'am told, it's absolutely right. It's completely appropriate to the point she touched, I could say. But see, as she said, it's all depends on the development and time the child enters the institution here. As we told, first, what kind of a child will come to the institution, and now the causes, if I want to say, is that what all the problem that could be happening. See, one is that first we always want to think like, apart from the physical thing, the cognitive part, which is very important, because every age the child is exposed to the different thing. At the small enough tiny age, when the child is just an infant, it will be learning like, okay, she is my mother, he's my father, and this is the family, so this is how they care. So this is the basic ladder that child may not be having. Number one, I have the reasons for that, because when I was working in different NGOs or in different institutes, so I have a different kinds of the children in my hand whom I have to mold them. So it's like, the one is this, the next thing is that the family, the family attachment or the bondage or the adjusting to the family environment is something that won't be there. And the second thing is that one thing we have to understand, if that is there, there are the times that the children will be abused by own family members. This one is also absurd, like, how the abusive things can happen, and how the children will be vulnerable to these particular things. And the nextly is that, which I want to say, is that as I was just telling, the cognitive development apart from the emotional development, when the child is exposed to the various things, like say for example, at the 2 years or 2.5 years, we start giving the exposure for the alphabets. For example, we will tell the rhymes, then we will tell the story things, the bed story things, all these things. It is given for the children at different age with their own mother tongues. So this is something the child will be learning the bondage between the family, between the parents and others. Somewhere the social life is lost, somewhere the cognitive life is lost, somewhere the child have to get exposed to the various vulnerabilities here. But these are all the something that the child have to go through, because I have the children, like, you don't believe, the child was at the age of 12 years. I used to teach them the alphabets. This is something, very much normal children could say that, oh, how is it possible? A child doesn't know the alphabets when the child is at the age of 12 years. So this is how we can understand, as Megha ma'am told, what age the child has been institutionalized, at what age the child has given the exposure to the different thing. So everything matters over there to bring the child to the appropriate life. So this is something that they experiences some kind of an issue in the children. Well, there are plenty, because everything is important apart from the nourishment, apart from the physical development, cognitive, psychological development, emotional development, social development. Everything is important to to stand. The child has to stand in the environment with confidently that I am this today. So that is something, it's not visible in these children. Because one of the child, when I was working in the foster care, the child used to tell me, ma'am, if I had been in the family, I think so my brother or my mother would have hugged me and said, good morning, how are you today? That completely, which made me cry. And that child age was 13 years. So when I was in the 2012, I was working in the foster care project. So that is a time, I was just counseling the children for the foster care thing. So this was, when the child said that, and I was completely in the tears, because they understand the difference of the institutionalization and the family care. So that is something which is very sensitive that we have to understand here. Thanks, Sahna. This is my point.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, according to both of you, you explained how important of a role that family plays in the development of a child, right? So, when it comes to the mental health of a child during orphanage visits, so it is said that it's really detrimental during when someone comes visits an orphanage. So, do you agree with this? Is it really true that orphanage visits can have a really very big impact on a child's mental health?
Uh, yes, Sahana, because see, we have to understand that suppose, normally we just come across like, foreign tourist, or people from different country, or from different state, or people from different background, like, quite well versed person, financially well versed person. They often, I observe that they celebrate their birthdays or some things in the orphanage. In a way, it is good, okay, they might help for in a fundraising or whatever. But however, we have to understand that we are making the eye catching for the children. Children are not the eye catching thing, which is what I feel personally. I mean, there should be a different viewpoints, but this is my personal opinion that I don't think so. We have to keep the children. Look, they are the I things, and they are the poor people. They are the poor children. They don't have the facilities. Why is it? Can't we give them? Like when there is a family, we can raise the fund and we can help that family, so that the better education will be given, better nourishment will be given, and better emotional development will be given, social development will be given. Because when they're in the institutionalization, these visits, any external visits, obviously it makes them to certain extent, oh, we are this kind of a people. That puts them still more lower than bringing them the confidence that no, you are not like this. That is something, in one perception, if you could say. Whereas I would like to add here, because when I used to visit to the institutions, different institutions or NGOs, I used to teach them mathematics, I used to teach them science. So in a way, volunteering like this, like teaching them something, that is something acceptable, that is something positive. I used to play with them, I used to give them the games, and I used to make them a group, and who wins, I used to give them the different prizes. The prizes would be like hairbands, these kind of things, whatever that suits their age and suits the gender. This is how I used to do it. So this somewhere, which brings them that, okay, I'm learning this, I can do this. So it's completely exploring their skills. So I am bringing them to different level. So in a way, this way it helps the children. But when it is in other way, it should be like an, you are pointing out the person. So that I may not agree for it, and that's naturally impact on the psychological well-being. So that is my point, sir.
Megha ma'am, what's your opinion on this?
Yes, as Rajita ma'am said, it's absolutely right that just visiting them to show empathy or rather show sympathy and making them feel that they are dependent on somebody's help and they are institutionalized children, they don't have family. Hmm? So these kind of visits are definitely detrimental to these children. But otherwise also I feel that basically they don't have consistent relationship exposure to anyone, they lack it because caregivers are always changing, or in 24 hours there might be 3 different caregivers for them. So as it is, they have issue of developing consistent intimate relationship with anyone. Okay, and that creates a feeling of insecurity in them, and they have disorganized relationships with people. So many times what happens is doctors come in to check them, then counselors come in to talk to them, therapists come in, volunteers come in, and naturally these children are very much in a need of approval, acceptance, love, and they have so many emotional needs. So what I have observed when I work with different NGOs, that their children immediately come and try to, they don't take a time. If you see the children who are living in the family, if we have guests, children don't go so immediately to those guests, and they don't try to immediately try to impress them and all. Rather, we as a family member, we introduce our child and we try to make our child talk to the guest. But these children immediately rush to the guests who come in to such institutes, and they try to please them, they try to get their attention, they try to get their approval. And when they realize that this is a very temporary relationship, this person is going to go away from our life, they get disappointed. And again, so, and because of these kind of experiences, they have very disorganized relationships, which in future life also affects their marital relationships or any kind of long-term relationships. They are not able to develop such kind of relationships because they don't develop trust, they don't have exposure to long-term relationships. These are the issues when there are visitors and guests in such kind of institutions. So though the intention of visitors and of course professionals are definitely required, like counselors, therapists and doctors and all, they have to go there for their well-being. But in a way it definitely affects the psychology of children who are institutionalized. That is what my opinion is.
Okay. All right. So moving on to a little bit of a positive note, and as to how our viewers can actually help out. So my next question for the evening is, how can a person be of help to these children? And does providing in-kind help rather than monetary help be of, is that sort of a approach better as opposed to providing monetary help? And from your rich experiences, what would you be able to tell our guests about helping these children? Starting with Megha ma'am first.
Yeah. I think all sort of help is required. Even monetary help is required because these institutions need a lot of funding to take care of these children and their needs. Okay, so monetary help is also required, but that depends on the institutions, what experiences you have. If you feel ki, helping in a kind is better, that also is a good thing, and that also is welcomed in those such kind of institutes, like giving them books or food or toys. This kind of help in a kind is also welcomed in these institutions. what I would like to say is giving these kind of things for helping the children is definitely a very good, um, uh, what we can say, a very good thing. But other than that, what we need to do is, if we look at their issues, like as I said, ki they lack exposure, lacks intellectual development, for cognitive development, for relationship development, and social development. So if we can provide something where they can get these kind of exposures, like giving our time, spending time with them, telling them stories, playing certain games with them, which will help them for developing their cognitive abilities, their intellectual abilities, hmm, exposure to the outer world. If we tell them stories, try to read for them, such kind of help is also a very essential thing for these children. And on a larger note, I would like to say that what the society needs to do, uh, mainly, to help the children, is to change their outlook or view to look at the children. We should stop labeling them as institutionalized children. We shouldn't have a biased view to look at them. Hmm? We should be non-judgmental, and we should give them acceptance. We should accept them in a mainstream areas, mainstream life. We should help them to get involved in a mainstream life. That would be the biggest help, I think, is for these institutionalized children. Okay, because though we are talking about what kind of issues and problems they have, um, it is not a rule that all institutionalized children will have certain kind of problems. They will be having some behavioral issues, social issues, or relationship issues, or cognitive issues. It's not a rule. Okay, and it is also not a rule that children living in a family won't have any problems. Okay, so children are children. The chances are very high that institutionalized children will have issues, because they are not having all the things which we discussed earlier, what other children get in the family. So chances are high. But for resolving these issues, there are definitely various ways we can bring them out of these issues. We can help them to overcome these issues, and we can bring them to mainstream. But for that, as I said, the mindset of the society, the mindset of people should be very different. You should be very open and accepting towards the children, and don't label them. That is what I think is the main help which we can give to the children. Other services are there where those institutes try to take care. See, these institutes, if we try to bifurcate, there are some institutes which provide only physical needs, only can satisfy physical needs of the children. There are institutes which can take care of physical needs as well as some sort of um, what we can say, attention needs or exposure needs. They give some kind of exposure, they give some kind of stimulus, they give some kind of education. There are institutions where both these needs are satisfied, but relationship needs are not satisfied, emotional needs are not satisfied. So there are different institutes which have different issues. So as per their need, we have to think what kind of need these children have, these institutions have, and accordingly we should help. That is what is my opinion.
All right.
Yeah.
Rajita ma'am?
Yeah, I think so. It's absolutely fine, whatever the Mega ma'am have told, because we always have to consider it depends on the different institutions, how, they have their policies and they will be functioning. What is their agenda and how they have to function, what all the things they have to touch upon, it's up to them. Yes, monetary things is very important. As I have told when I was visiting, so monetary thing is, it's again, it matters a lot because children needs the basics things that need to be provided for them, which helps them for their different areas to grow up. It could be education, it could be other things. But however, we have to understand that the individual attention that we will be getting in the family, that is something it will be missing in the institution, because they have their own schedules, they have own their things that they have to follow, which is very much restricted here. And that is how. But monetary help, yes, do give them the various things, but certain things which will be always missing for them. So that is something the experts have to think about it and have to work on this, how certain things can be reduced. So that is something very much important. See, we cannot put a full stop here, we cannot take it out certain things, but we can reduce certain risk factors or certain negativity. uh, that is that is something, if it can be done, because if the government or the people will work on certain things, so I think so we can reduce certain things. But it isn't that easy, because most of the people have to agree for certain things. As I have told earlier, monetary things, if we support for the institutions, yes, it might like whoever it is there who are there in that particular institutions will be getting help for the various things, whereas the other children, even outside the institution, they also have the right for many things. It's right for education, right to live, or whatever it is. But what about them, comes the question here. Monetary way, in a way of fundraising, could be helpful, like fundraising, and few of the people taking the initiative over there, going to the one particular area of the community and giving them the education or whatever, so that the child just joining to the institutions can be reduced, so that the child is there in the family only, so the child is getting the family things. So whereas the thing which cannot be done, and who are the child in the institution, so for them also monetary help is required, in a way like to help the children who are there in the things, because all the things the institution may not be able to take care. So the, the monetary things could help them, the institutions, to support the children for the other activities need to be taken care.
Right. Okay. All right. So we've come to the end of our questions for today. And I would like to thank both of you for your time. And thanks to Rotaract and Sahana as well. And
Thanks.
have a good evening. Sahana, would you like to add on anything?
Yeah, I just like to thank both the guests for coming over. It was really informative, very fun. And yeah, thank you all of you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
thank you. Can I
Thanks
say
for the
something,
inviting.
Rujita?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Please go.
Yeah, just in 2 minutes. We should
Sure.
appreciate the work these institutions are doing, because they are not just helping the children, but they are even helping the society, when such a big number of children who can otherwise be nowhere are taken care of in these institutions.
Institutions, yes.
But in a these days, worldwide, it is now seen and agreed that institutionalizing the children should be the last resort. And so i i
Yes.
hope that such institutions are won't be needed for the children, and every child has a right to family also. So every child should get the family, and such an institutions should be minimum in number, let us hope, so that maximum children will be staying in a family, as Rajita ma'am was saying. And it is not that all institutionalized children have problems. I would
Yes.
like to end this with some positive information,
Yeah.
that there are organizations, as I said, worldwide they are saying now that institutionalization of children should be the last resort. So what they tried to do is they developed they have the institutions where the group of very small number of children, like 5 to 6 children, and one caretaker as their mother,
Yeah.
are staying as a family in the institutions itself. They are breaking what we can say, number of children. They are dividing the number of children into small
Yeah, that is
families.
group
And
foster care.
group
Yeah.
foster care, and they are developing such small families in the institutions, which is
Yes.
a very good thing, but it requires a lot of
Lot.
money, of course.
Yes.
So
I know a few of the NGOs who are doing this, especially in
SOS
Rajasthan and in.
Garbram,
Yes.
SOS Garbram is the best example
SOS
of
is
that.
also, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other than that, when we are talking about orphanages and orphan children, we must mention the organization where I forgot the name. I forgot the who is she? Just a minute, huh?
Yeah.
Sindhutai Sabka. We should mention the name of Sindhutai Sabka. She's affectionately called as mother of orphans.
Right.
And she started her orphanage, and she has till date she has um, taken care of more than 1,000 orphan children, and all her children are very well educated, very well placed, like they are doctors, lawyers, they are into social service, and they are running now their own orphanage homes. So such
Yeah.
good things are also happening in the society. We must appreciate all these things.
Yeah.
And I think with this positive note, we can end this session.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right, all right. This is great. Thank you so much for coming, and it
Thank you.
was beautiful talking to all of you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks a lot. Take care. Yeah. Thanks, ma'am. Thanks, Megha ma'am.